Hi guys, welcome to Westmonster Uncensored. I'm Michael Heaver.
I'm Patrick Christie.
And so much to talk about on today's show. As ever, dive in and tell us what you think. We're going to be talking about what's going on right across Europe. We'll be starting here in Brexit Britain because some big dramatic developments going on, Patrick. You will have probably seen, guys, that vote in the House of Lords. We've asked you a big reaction whether you think the House of Lords should be abolished over this. They've backed an EU customs union. Patrick, what are the details?
Well, look, as ever on Westminster here, we like to ask you the big question. So should we or should we not abolish the House of Lords? It comes after the unelected, unaccountable House managed to stay awake long enough to try to thwart the will of the people and block us from doing our own free international trade deals post-Brexit, i.e. keeping Britain tied into a customs union. Now, we've had a lot of cracking reaction already. Richard Joyce saying,
Great comments.
Yes, abolish them and pay more for the police. Brenda Adams, yes, they're all traitors. Bit strong there from Big Brenda. Alan Staines, fund the NHS with their dosh. And Helen Cherry, get rid. The sooner the better. So here is obviously what you are all thinking about the House of Lords. Now, just so you are aware of what's going on, our first story that we're bringing up today, there was on Wednesday evening a vote as to whether or not the customs union should be made to stay on the table in Brexit negotiations. The House of Lords voted 348 to 225, basically in favour of ignoring the will of the people. Now, Michael's obviously got a bit of a bone to pick here.
Oh, more than a bone.
More
than a bone.
To emphasise what he views as the absolute ridiculousness of this House of Lords. Go on, Michael.
Well, guys, the shocking thing about this, right, is obviously, if you remember, we're going to be talking lots about this later on in the show in terms of the customs union. But in terms of the House of Lords, it's a situation here where you've got 83 Liberal Democrat lords, and as ever, you can go to Westminster.
I didn't realise
there
were that many Liberal Democrats in the country.
So well, there aren't anymore. Get your head around this. Get your noodle around this one, guys. Right. So you've got a situation where there's 83 Liberal Democrat peers in the House of Lords who voted for an EU customs union, which completely flies in the face of the referendum result. And yet, this is a party that is currently polling at the weekend. I think it was with Comres. They were polling. Yeah, it was with Comres. They were polling 7% with Comres. By comparison, a sort of severely weakened UKIP at the minute was on 4. And then you've got the Lib Dems, 80 strong, weighing in, putting the votes in there for an EU customs union. I think the whole thing's farcical. I don't think we should have a House of Lords. I think it needs to be abolished. I think it's a complete and utter shambles in the heart of our democracy that we've got these people, so many Lib Dems, of course, as I've mentioned, they're voting on things totally unaccountable, totally unelected, and totally skewing, I think, the public view. Because at the end of the day, the Liberal Democrats haven't got anywhere near that level of public support to sort of to have that many lords sitting there voting. I think it's a disgrace. But guys, tell us what you think.
Well,
give us a like. We did a little poll at the start there on Facebook. Give us a little cheeky like. Give us a retweet. Let us know. Do you think that if the House of Lords should be abolished or not?
Well, here we go. Jackie Stewart, abolish them. Anthony Lee, massive demonstrations needed. Calling for a bit of public action there, Anthony. Get rid. Unelected and should have no say in anything. And that is from Yolanda Booker. Fantastic, Yolanda. And I think, guys, it's interesting, isn't it? Because there's a cases for and against having a second chamber as a check on the legislature. But I think realistically at the minute the House of Lords has been allowed to become a bit of an old boys club, hasn't it? Where people check in, check out, take the daily expenditure, which to be honest is quite a lot of money, which we're obviously paying for. Don't seem to do very much, so little to no interest. Some of them you do actually look at and think, can you even hear what's going on? Are you aware which way you're actually facing? Is it now time, even if you don't want to abolish them completely, do you not think maybe we should have more of an elected House of Lords or something like that? Or do you just want them rid totally? Do you want no House of Lords? Let us know what you think.
So guys, just we're going to breeze through some stories now, as ever. Go to westmonster.com after the show, check all this stuff out for yourselves. But we did a little Twitter poll the other day, sort of fresh off the back of the vote. Yeah. And the poll basically showed that 87% wanted to abolish the House of Lords. I think it shows you, and a lot of you guys diving in as well, so many comments saying get rid of it.
Yeah,
it's clear, it's clear from you guys that this isn't a system that you support. And I've always said it myself, actually. When you take back control from the European Union, it's then about what sort of domestic political system you put in place. I would suggest at the minute there's a whole load of people, whether on the left, right or middle, who are voting at elections under first past the post for the House of Commons or council elections as well, and they're feeling very underrepresented. They're feeling like their vote doesn't matter. They're feeling like they go to the polls year after year after year and they don't have a single person sometimes in Parliament speaking on their behalf. Would it not make sense to give a sense of representation and a sort of feeling that they are represented in democracy by having a proportional representation system in a second chamber, call it a Senate, call it whatever you like? I think that would make a lot more sense. I think that is the makings of a modern, dynamic democracy, not something stuffed full of liberal Democrats, you know, without the public support, who you can't get rid of them. They're totally unaccountable, and they're just going to, relentlessly vote for anything that tries to mess up Brexit.
Right, guys. So at the start of the show, we had a Facebook poll, I should say, to see what you guys thought. Here it is. 238 of you, still ongoing, I believe. 238 of you.
Go on, give us a like, give us an angry face. Let us know.
241 of you, in fact, are now in favour of abolishing.
I mean, that is a landslide, isn't it?
I think it's interesting. People go on, and they're right, by the way, when people go on about politicians and PMs and cabinet members, etc., being out of touch with the electorate. They are obviously right. A lot of them don't come from this world, do they really? But the Lords, they're even an echelon above that in terms of how rampantly out of touch I think they are. And in a way, fair enough. These are people who frankly grew up in a very different society. A lot of them are very old people. They have been very privileged their entire lives. They have been shooed into the House of Lords by virtue of being the mate of former PMs and people like that. And now they obviously live in this little bubble, don't they? Where they check in and check out every day, as we've said. And so realistically, are these the type of people...
Club Tropicana.
Yeah, but are these the type of people that you would really want making the decisions, having the ability to stifle legislature as it passes through? I would argue that actually some of them are the most unqualified people to make that decision because they do not have a handle on reality. But what do you think?
Now, fresh off the back of this, we're going to go to some comments in a minute. Fresh off the back of this, of course, you then had the Ramona MPs pile in. We did the story. Tabling a motion, some MPs, to keep the UK inside a customs union. You've also then had today, apparently the EU slamming and rejecting the UK government's proposals on the Irish border.
Yeah.
Basically, guys, the way this is all heading, the long and short of it is this. We know that Ramona's in this country, and we know that they're sort of allied and they're working with people in Brussels. And their end game is to keep the UK locked inside a customs union.
Yeah.
It's to keep the UK bowing down to EU rules and regulations. They've been perfectly honest and open about it, actually.
Yeah, which is fair enough.
They've actually said, you may be leaving, but you're not allowed competitive advantage.
Yeah. It's not as if they've lied to us. You know what I mean? We can argue with the rights and wrongs of that, obviously, as we do. But it's not as if they've lied or tried to be subtle about this.
I mean, we're leaving. That the European Union still has the arrogance to seek to dictate what Brexit is going to look like, I think is extraordinary.
Well,
and I think when you add all of this up, you add up the Europhile Lords, you add up the Ramona MPs, you add up this hardline approach coming down from Brussels, trying to box the UK into a customs union, you see that these people still just don't get it. They still just don't accept the vote, the mandate that you gave for them to implement it, not piss around, not fiddle around, not try and change, not try and U-turn or water down, just to get on and deliver Brexit out of the customs union, out of the single market, controlling our own borders.
Right, well guys, look, thank you very much, all of you so far, for taking time out of this sweltering hot summer's day to watch two people that are even hotter, obviously. There you go. There's Donald Trump in the background.
Agree to disagree.
Donald Trump and Farage in the background there, as you can see. No, look, but you guys, if you wouldn't mind taking another moment of your time to help support Westmonster, do see the link at the top of this Facebook video or go on our website, westmonster.com/support. Help donate to us and help us grow if you like what you see. Now look, guys, just returning to this Ramona MPs that are trying to keep us into a customs union. Now we've seen the Lords, as we've discussed, just basically knock it back and want us in the customs union. These Ramona MPs, your usual suspects, your Nicky Morgans, of course, your Chuka Ramunas, your Anna Soubries, who I think has possibly had one too many and got in over her head here with this one, but they're trying to keep Britain inside some customs union. We're going to come later onto all of the countries, or certainly some of the countries who Britain currently has a trade deal on the table with, right, that will be blocked if we stay in the customs union. So people that call Brexiteers little Englanders and little isolationists, Just have a think and bear in mind later on in the show that we're going to show you all the ways that we are actually, we believe, the true globalists and all this, the true internationalists. But we are coming on to that in a bit.
Not globalists, of course. That's something.
No, but as in we've got a global outlook on trade.
That's the one. That's the one.
Well.
Nailed it.
Nice.
Right now, David Campbell-Bannerman, who's a Conservative MEP, he came out with some very, very strong words on all of this. Basically, tweeting, "This is the real reason the EU is working with the UK fifth columnists in the Lords and Commons to try to trap the UK in a customs union. They are terrified of a super competitive Britain outside." He also spoke to Westmonster and basically said it is increasingly clear that there's ongoing collusion between elements of the British political establishment and the EU to assist EU interests at the expense of national interests. This has echoes, he says, of Lord Halifax undermining Churchill at a crucial moment in defending our nation, and is disgraceful and shameful.
Wow.
No wonder Tony Blair weakened the treason laws when he was in government. So David Campbell-Bannerman there, Conservative MEP, ain't pulling any punches. And I think there is something to be said, guys. When you have this alliance, you know, the British government are trying to negotiate, and you've got British Ramonas at every step of the way. And I've seen a report that they're now openly in contact, and we're amazed at the level of access they've got to official figures, senior figures in the European Union. There is a negotiation going in there, and we've got people on the UK side who are basically colluding with the European Union to try and throw in as many obstacles as they can to try and slow down and water down and eventually stop Brexit. I think it's disgraceful. David Campbell-Bannerman not pulling any punches. As ever, guys, go to Westmonster.com to go and see that story.
Yeah, it's interesting. We're having a little chat off air, and I'd be intrigued to see what you guys make of this, guys. We've been consistently up around the 250 live viewers mark, by the way, so thank you very much. Give us a like and a share. But look, I think these people are your Lord Adonises of this world, your Nick Cleggs of this world, your Tony Blairs of this world. I mean, he's already on the wrong side of history, obviously, but I think even more so.
That legacy's gone, isn't it?
Even more so. I think these people are really, as history progresses, I think they're going to find themselves really not being looked on favourably. You know, when I am maybe unfortunate one day enough to have children and they go to history lessons at school, they are going to learn about the fact that these people, I think, were not viewed in the best light about the way they did what they did with Britain in the wake of the EU referendum. Cuddling up to the Europhiles and basically trying to do everything that they can to overturn what was a democratic vote and to block everything and make everything as difficult as possible for Britain, get us as worst deal as possible. Almost the mindset of let's cut our own nose off to spite our face because we're not happy with what's gone on. That's not something that's going to wash well, is it? It's not something that's going to come out well over the course of history, I would say. But what do you think? And also, I'm just going to ask you this now, go a bit off piece.
Go on.
Who's your least favourite Ramona? Let's see what you're saying. Who's your least favourite Ramona? I want to know.
Whack him in there. Let us know, guys. Now, I know it's blistering hot outside. I know it's lovely out there. I know you're just dying to go to that beer garden and get stuck in. But stay with us because there's some important stuff we're going to go through now that I think anyone that's interested in British politics, in Brexit or in European politics should really know. Now, if you're like me, you'll be wondering, you know, immigration, the centre piece of the Leave campaign, really one of those things, if not the thing, that really won it for Leave. It was the centre point, it was the battleground, it was what people wanted. They wanted control of borders. And you'll notice now, a complete lack of action or any sort of proposal being put forward for exactly when and how net migration is going to be brought down to the tens of thousands, as is this government's stated policy. And so we see reports today, again guys, this is on Westmonster, reports today that apparently the migration system that Britain's going to have post-Brexit is now being divvied up. Is now up for debate. It's now up for negotiation.
So we've seen fishing go, we've seen fishing, the ECJ go, now we've got migration
the old dollar bills have been flying into the coffers, or the euro bill notes I should say, flying over there. You know, Juncker's bar bill and all that carry on. But for the migration now to be slapped on the table by the British government and potentially, what do you guys want our post-Brexit immigration policy to be? I'm guessing they're going to say, no, we'll basically keep what we've got, as they've done with fishing. We'll keep what we've got at least until 2021. We know that's happening. But I'm deeply concerned now, guys, about are we going to end up with a system, and it seems to have been reported, where there is going to be a preferential treatment of EU migrants? Because to my mind, that is what people voted to end, right? We want to have a sensible immigration policy. We want to bring it down to sensible levels. We don't want to let in jihadis. We don't want to let in criminals. But we also don't want to discriminate from EU citizens, from people from across the world. We want to judge people on who they are, what they can contribute, and what they're all about. Not on this ridiculous system of, well, you're from Romania, so you can come, but you're from India, no, you can't. Well, what sort of logic is that? It's complete and utter lunacy. And that cannot be put on the table now. We need an immigration policy that brings it down to tens of thousands, and that does not have this preferential, so-called preferential system for EU migrants. Because that's basically what we have now, the freedom of movement. I think, again, this is something that is going to become a bigger and bigger story. I want to hear some reassuring words out of the government, because as you guys probably noticed, it's gone very, very, very quiet.
Yeah, well, just very quickly returning back, because I did ask you about who your least favourite Ramona was. Theresa May's got a shout. Adonis has got one. Anna Soubry and George Soros is there. My favourite, Alexander Smith, just says Tony bloody Blair. Well done, mate. Fantastic. Look, guys, on a serious note now, we have spoken to you already this show about the fact that there does seem to be this big push to keep Britain in some form of customs union, which therefore would block us having the ability, it would seem, to negotiate free trade deals with whoever we want around the world. Now then, Michael's just told you about the story as well, about the fact that it looks like our border controls and our immigration policy is not going to be able to be completely unique and bespoke and entirely within our control, which I think were two key pillars of Brexit, weren't they? Being able to trade with whoever you want and being able to dictate your own migration policy. So look, guys, these are realistically, seriously up for grabs, aren't they? And this is not what the people wanted. This is bad. This is bang out of order. It's tone-deaf politics. And I
like that. That's a good one.
But it is tone-deaf politics. It's a flagrant disregard for the will of the people, frankly. And I know it's hot outside, and maybe that's what's making me a bit angry. But I really do think...
He's not had his Snickers.
But I really do think that the British people are never going to forgive the political class. And what a patronising state of affairs this is, by the way, that they think that if we just drag this out for a few years, people won't notice that we've shafted them on immigration, we've shafted them on the ECJ, we've shafted them on free trade. What little regard they hold the British public in. Sorry, rant over.
Yeah, I mean, it's getting a bit spicy in here, guys. It started off korma and went chicken fowl very quickly, didn't it? Absolutely. Right, let's get the old poppadoms on the table now, because we want to get... I don't know, I'm going with these... Yeah, that's a bit weird. I'm going on... Oh, I do fancy an Indian, actually. Yeah,
all right.
Right, yeah. Just thinking about the customs union, guys. We talked about it a bit earlier, right? We just boil this down, because one of the interesting things, one of the great sort of contradictions of British politics at the minute, is you have all these people who basically model themselves as being, very progressive and very... internationalist and outward-looking,
not globalist.
No. And although they are very globalist, actually, but they model themselves, the hip, trendy types, whatever, and they run around saying that. But the thing is, guys, with the customs union, it boils down to this: the customs union locks the UK in. It doesn't allow the UK to negotiate global trade deals, as you probably know. And we've done a piece here, basically laying this out, because when you hear the Ramonas talk about, we need to stay in the customs union. They are, and how mad is this? They are basically saying, Britain shouldn't be able to negotiate global trade deals. And one of the other things they say is, well, none of these, what are these deals? There aren't any deals.
That's the one.
I had one with the old Michael White, the veteran journalist from The Guardian's one. Where are these deals then? Well, as we're about to run through, Australia I'll just do the first one. You read them up.
Go ahead.
But the first one, when you hear the Ramonas say, well, what are these deals? They're all fantasy. Well, no, get your facts right, son. The Australian Trade Minister, he's actually said on the record, as direct as you like, 1st of January 2021, he wants it to come into effect, a trade deal with the UK, right? Which is the first possible day it could, because the government have gone along with this transition with the European Union, which means that you could sign a deal, but you couldn't enact the deal until 2021. Yeah. So that isn't, that's not some random backbencher. No. That isn't some some guy that you can just dismiss. That's the Aussie Trade Minister saying the first day of 2021, he wants a trade deal with the UK in effect. And he's not the only one, Patrick.
No, absolutely not. So we've also had the President of the American state, Donald Trump.
God, you can tell it's Friday, can't you?
I'm speaking good England today, aren't I? Donald Trump has tweeted that he's working on a major deal with the United Kingdom. He also slammed the EU, just saying it's very protectionist, which is kind of the point we're trying to make at the minute. The New Zealanders, they've been in touch, and they've said that we want, as a priority, to get the UK's perspective on it. But beyond that, we are here, ready and waiting, and very willing to model what those future trading agreements look like. So when you are ready, We are ready. Canada, Justin Trudeau, who I don't normally like, but today I do after he said this, saying we're going to make sure that the relationship between Canada and the UK stays as strong as it always has been, which is very strong. Now, I'm just going to rattle off here now, if you bear with me for 1 second, because there's 21 non-EU countries who Britain currently is involved in some kind of free trade negotiation with. Are you ready? Australia, Bahrain, Canada, China, Colombia, Ecuador, India, Israel, Japan, Kuwait, Mexico, New Zealand, Norway, Oman, Qatar, Peru, Saudi Arabia, South Korea, Turkey, United Arab Emirates, USA.
Ain't a bad list, is it, to be fair? It's not a bad list at all, really, is it? No. There you go. Let's just nail this now. When you hear these idiots talking about no one voted to leave a customs union, what they're actually saying is, yeah, we know we've got the Aussies banging on the door. We know that we've got the US president sat down with the Prime Minister talking about a big deal, but we don't want it. We want the European Union to do it all for us because we don't believe in a global, independent Brexit Britain. It's crazy, guys. It's crackers. Anyone that wants an outward-looking nation, why would you not want to be doing trade deals when you've got these countries, when you've got their representatives, when you've got their government stood there saying, we want the deal, let's do the deal. And they're turning around in Parliament, they're turning around the House of Lords and saying, nah, we don't want to do that. Why have the ambition to be doing global trade deals? We'll just let the European Union do it on our behalf because they're such an effective, cohesive organisation. It's crackers.
Robert Boycott might have won the comment of the day already, just says no-brainer. And it is, isn't it? That's what it is.
Exactly.
This is what I can't get my head around. People also go, oh, well, where are these trade deals? And that's always a big question. Where are these trade deals? Liam Fox is racking up all these air miles. I heard Alistair Campbell give a speech, and he said, Liam Fox is racking up all these air miles, and he hasn't signed anything. Well, we're not legally allowed to sign anything yet, are we? So that'll be why he hasn't signed anything, won't it? It's not rocket science.
Anyway, next time you get one of these lemmings turn around to you and say, oh, where are these deals? Just send them on over to Westmonster.com because it's all laid out there. As I say, these aren't Mickey Mouse people, guys. You're talking about leaders of countries openly talking about the fact that they want to do deal, they want to talk Turkey, they want to seal the deal with Brexit Britain, and these people haven't got the ambition. They haven't got that world view. They're still little Europeans. They're still stuck inside their little EU box. Please, Mr. Juncker, do the deals for us. No, we're better than that.
Amanda's overtaken what's his face for favourite comment of the day so far.
Charging in.
Bang on again, guys. Who needs Victoria Derbyshire or Daily Politics when you have you guys? Amanda, always an honour and a privilege to have you on Westmonster Uncensored.
And don't forget, Westmonster Uncensored, it's 1 p.m. UK time, Monday, Wednesday and Friday. So, you know, fun in the sun, that's all good, but you've got to take a little bit of your time. You've got to listen to what's going on, guys, because so much at the minute in Europe. I mean, this is...
Yeah,
this is big.
We've just given you an international flavour there, haven't we? But now we're staying international. A top Greek court, it's easy for you to say, has said that it's ruled that asylum seekers should no longer be held in reception centres while their claims are being processed. Now, there's a lot to take in here, basically. As things currently stand, if you're an asylum seeker and you manage to get to Greece, you know, fair play, well done, you then should be held in some kind of reception centre while your claim is processed. And the EU also has quite a significant deal with Turkey to try to send some of you there, and the theory being you'll be closer to home once everything's calmed down.
Turkey, that reliable ally that the EU's funneling billions into, but we've covered that ground.
Well, but actually what's happening here is that Greece, I mean, look, let's cut through all the BS on this. Greece has obviously had enough, haven't they? They're too full, a lot of their islands have been decimated really by this massive influx, and they're clearly now just saying to everyone, look, wave on through. Go on through, go into mainland Europe. And that is literally the verdict of a judge. And so when these asylum claims will be processed, let's just say that they find that, you know, X amount of them are not legitimate, and they want to speak to those people again and presumably deport them or do whatever they do, well, they won't know where they are. So, you know, that's an issue, isn't it?
I just want to highlight how bonkers this is, guys, because it is truly mad. When you think about the migrant crisis, so basically the court have ruled in Greece that, as Patrick said, when people get there and they claim to be asylum seekers and they're having their claims processed, they no longer have to be kept in Greece. How on earth are you going to enforce it when you've got people who you have no idea if they have a legal right to be there? So what you can do, like, what, a month later, be like, oh yeah, we need to find X, Y or Z. We haven't got a clue. We don't know where they are. What, are you going to chase around Europe after these people?
They're not going to even try much.
So what you've got here is you've got a system, a chaotic system, that where already there's a massive pull factor for migrants that are coming, because we know, for instance, in Germany, hundreds of thousands of illegal migrants that should be kicked out of the country aren't being kicked out of the country. And the pull factor just grows and grows and grows. And the message sent out by Europe, even more than ever, is that if you can get to Greece, if you can get to Europe, your chances, even if you are a complete con man or con woman, even if you've spun a yarn of absolute lies and fabrications and you have no legal basis to be there whatsoever, the chances of you ever getting found, the chances of you ever getting kicked out are virtually nil.
Yeah, well, it's just not a border policy, is it? Basically, it's an admission that they've given up, and
They've lost control.
I honestly in this situation, and I don't really blame the Greeks. Like, they have been shafted really by the EU in this department. And just very, very briefly before we move on, the current situation that they've got with Turkey, the EU is sending about 9 billion euros to Turkey in accession fees, so joining fees for the EU, but also specifically to help with the migrant crisis, specifically to have a policy with Greece where Greece sends back X amount of refugees, asylum seekers to Turkey. The only issue is Greece and Turkey are pretty much on the brink of war, so it's not happening. So Greece have had to go back the other way, haven't they? And just come on through into the rest of the EU. That, in a microcosm, sums up just how bonkers the EU policy is, and what a waste of money it is as well, frankly.
Guys, we're just going to go through our last few stories. If you're enjoying what we do here, give us a like, give us a retweet, go to westmonster.com/report, and of course you can go to westmonster.com to see all of these stories and many, many more every day of the week. Now, I just want to nail a couple of these quickly.
Yeah.
Finland, we've just seen a big story. A Moroccan national on trial for a knife attack. Basically, absolutely horrific. He was a rejected asylum seeker. He was filmed on Moss talking about ISIS, I think, and he was talking about my target was to hit women, not men. I was in a war against women, and I'm afraid when you talk about an open border policy, when you talk about having no controls, no quality controls, no criminal back checks, you are, I'm afraid, going to be letting in some absolute basket cases. And it isn't just that, it's a threat to national security, it's a threat to citizens. When you're letting in potentially deranged, extreme, violent nutcases that may have, done things back home that are unthinkable. And they're being let in. And that's just a perfect demonstration, I'm afraid, is if you have a weak border policy, you are putting citizens in danger.
But it also devalues the genuine asylum seekers that there are, of which there are clearly many, and they are the people that should be getting help and deserve genuine help as well. But then you have nut jobs like this and several others as we've seen, especially actually Finland and Sweden seem to have a particular penchant for these kind of psychopaths. And you see these people, it completely devalues the meaning of what it is to be an asylum seeker, doesn't it?
But I'll tell you who isn't backing down, guys. I'll tell you who has put in place a border policy and they're not taking illegal migrants. Viktor Orban's Hungarian government.
Yeah, that's a man who doesn't take any shit.
They've just won the election there. Check these comments out, Patrick. These comments from the Hungarian foreign minister, guys.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is extraordinary. I think we actually got them on screen as well.
Yeah. So
this is the Hungarian foreign minister,
the
right?
Quote's up there for you. It says, I'm not going to have a go at pronouncing his name. I would end up offending most of Hungary. But no matter how many times George Soros goes to Brussels, no matter how many times the issue of illegal immigration is placed on the agenda, and no matter how many allies George Soros has in Brussels, we will not back down. Illegal immigrants will continue to not be allowed entry into Hungary in future. So very strong stance there, obviously, on illegal immigration. This comes from the country, of course, that beat Donald Trump to building a border wall, and they've decided to not back down whatsoever, not give an inch. Now, it is interesting to see what you guys think. I think by and large our Westmonster readers seem quite in favour of what's going on in Hungary. I'd be intrigued to see what you guys think watching us today. Do you think, Anthony Pratt just said good on him. Helen Cherry said well done Hungary. Sandra said she's moving to Hungary. So there you go. That's a flavour of what you guys are into, I suppose.
Now we know every European election after European election, we've covered it all here at Westmonster, is, every single time now you're seeing Eurosceptic anti-mass migration forces winning every election. And I think it's going to happen in Sweden in September because there's just been a new poll out. This is our last story that I think is very, very interesting. Basically showing that when you talk to Swedish people now, what are their top concerns? Number one concern now is immigration. The second one's healthcare, the third one's law and order, and the fourth is integration. So there you go. Immigration, law and order, integration, right up there as top concerns for Swedish voters. And as the sort of intellectuals and the commentators in Sweden have noted, who is that going to favour? It's going to favour the Swedish Democrats, who are a very Eurosceptic anti-mass migration party. And it just shows you guys, you know, the European Union is not Europe. The people of Europe now, virtually every European election now, whether you're talking about Italy, whether you talk about Austria, whether you talk about any of these elections now, and I think Sweden will be exactly the same, the European voters are weighing in big numbers behind parties that want to control borders and have had enough of EU centralisation.
Yeah, and I think, guys, just a point I'd personally like to make, I tweeted this out yesterday, so you can follow me at Patrick Christie.
If you really want, if you're a glutton for that.
So, no, look, shameless plug over, but no, seriously, I think that any reasonable people, and I would certainly hope that includes everybody watching this, are not against migration, in fact, at all. What they are against is the mismanagement of mass migration. When you see people coming in ridiculously large numbers, when there is no system in place for what happens when they get there, well, that doesn't breed any kind of integration. In fact, it drives a wedge through society very often, breeds divisions. That leads to hatred. That leads to massive divisions in society. Well, there's no winners there, are there? And it just breeds discontent. So here we are in this situation, unfortunately. It's a classic case and sums up basically what's gone on in vast ways across the EU, where in some cases, through very noble and well-meaning reasons, mass migration has been allowed to happen on a grand scale with no provision whatsoever for what the actual reality of the situation is on the ground when that happens. But here we are anyway.
But guys, whether it happens in the UK, whether it happens in Europe, where in the world it happens, when democratic change, when revolution is spreading, Westmonster will be there to report on it. So go and visit westmonster.com. Go and enjoy this lovely sun. You know, I see there's so many bit and twisted people on social media at the minute. I think it's important for us to evaluate the important things in life, which I think for me is an ice cold beer out in the sun, switch the old phone off, talk to your loved ones, meet new people, have fun. That is what life is all about. So have a great weekend. We're back on Monday.
Take care, guys.
See you later.